So this is the brand new HP Envy 16. I think the last Envy of this form factor that I reviewed was the 15-inch model a couple years ago. At that time, it was such a good deal. This is a pretty good deal too. It's more on the fair scale rather than like a budget alternative, but they're really gearing this towards creators, a more affordable alternative to the premium laptops that are currently on the market. Now, it hasn't changed a lot in terms of looks. Like, it's still the standard silver lid. You have the HP logo in the middle. The big change though is the depth. It's a lot deeper now because there's a 16:10 display. It's a little heavy at 5 pounds, and there might be a tiny quality control issue. Like, I'm looking at this little piece back here, this little strip that they put on the back of the laptop, and it's already indented. And I didn't even touch this. I haven't opened it up. I've been handling it with care. So I imagine over time, this little strip will go in and out and will look a little weird. In fact, I don't even know why it's here. Like, why not just make this one solid piece of aluminum? Now, the lid is a little flexible, a little too much for my taste. It feels super soft, and the reason being is because they left a gap between the top and the base of the laptop. Now, this has a couple of advantages. One, if you place this in your bag, it's a lot harder to crack. And number two, it gives you better airflow. The downfall to this is that it just collects a lot of dust. So sometimes when you open up your laptop, it's gonna be a bit more dirty compared to other laptops that don't have a space when the lid is closed. There's a lot of I/O. It's pushing towards the front. Not my favorite position. I would have loved it at the back or all the way on the back of the laptop, but you do have a USB-A port. I do not like these flaps. I've seen them break before, so be very careful when you're inserting and removing devices. Audio jack, micro SD card, and then on the right-hand side, you have your power connector, USB-A port. This one doesn't have a flap, thankfully, HDMI, and then you have two Thunderbolt 4 ports. Now, the Envy is easily openable with one hand, but I don't like the amount of screen flex that goes along with it. This is a wobbly screen, not as bad as the Omen 16, but it's pretty close. I wish HP would tighten up this hinge because it would just make opening up the laptop feel a bit more premium. I do like the keyboard though, very comfortable to type on, has good actuation, but it's a little soft in the middle just because the deck of the keyboard is a bit too flexy, but the spacing of the keys, the way they feel under the fingers, it's fantastic for typing. Speakers, there's 4 of them, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. They sound really good. Not as good as the MacBook Pro 16, but very good for a laptop like this. And there's a massive touchpad on the bottom. Very accurate to use, lots of space, feels great when you click on it. Now, sticker placement is interesting because there's a war going on right now, and the Intel sticker is taking position at the top. I haven't seen this in years, and I'm kind of worried that we might enter World War IV in the sticker industry. This display is definitely one of the stars of the show. It is a 4K OLED panel. Unfortunately, it's 60 Hertz, but the color gamut is good, the color accuracy is good, and the screen brightness is okay. It says 400 nits on their website, but I just got under it. Maybe peak brightness goes up to 400 nits. Now, there is a 2K version, okay? And that's 120 Hertz. And that's the one I'd personally go for because let's face it, there's an RTX 3060 inside of here. If you plan on doing any sort of gaming outside of your work, 2K panel makes more sense. I'd rather have the higher refresh rate. Now, you do have a beautiful webcam at top. It's QHD, and it takes fantastic video recordings, great for Zoom calls, but there's one feature that HP has introduced called HP Enhanced Lighting. So if you're in a dark room, what happens is it creates this cool ring light on your display so that your face lights up. Now, there's no fingerprint scanner on the laptop, but you do have Windows Hello to log you in. Now, my SKU is the i9 12900H, but you can buy it with the i7 12700H, and you can either pair it with an RTX 3060 like I have here, or Intel's Arc GPU. I'd avoid Intel's Arc GPU for now just because there's a lot of bugs with the drivers and stuff, and I'd lean towards the NVIDIA one instead. This also has 32 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. Now, the GPU was pulling about 85 watts, and the entire board was going up to 113. So it's a quite capable RTX 3060. In terms of everyday workflow, it performed as intended. Single core clock speeds were exactly where it should be. The multi-core clock speeds were a little bit on the lower side. So I don't think the i9 is really worth it. I wouldn't waste my money on it. I would probably stick to the i7 instead. If you're buying this for content creation, the Intel CPU is preferred over AMD because of QuickSync, and I got really good results. It kind of stays in line with the Dell Alienware X14, which is a gaming laptop. So pretty impressive for this type of kit. Now, fan noise is pretty good. Like, you can put this on performance mode and the loudest it's gonna get is 52 decibels. It's loud for a lot of people, but it's not as loud as a typical gaming laptop. It's a little bit quieter, which is always a good thing. If you take it off performance mode and leave Smart Sense on or balance mode, you can keep the fan noise in the upper 40s. But if you want pure silence, obviously you can switch the profile to its most efficient one and get the fans to be around 40 decibels. Heat management was fantastic on this laptop. It obviously power throttles a lot in order to keep the temps down, so clock speeds drop with it, but it never got too hot. It was always a very comfortable experience. So internally, you have a nice big vapor chamber to help keep the laptop cool. You have a bigger fan on the left-hand side, but you don't have RAM that's soldered on. You have the potential to upgrade this to 32 gigabytes of memory, and you can swap it out anytime you want. Currently inside of here, this is rank 8 memory, so that's good to see. You do have one drive that's currently populated, but you do have a second slot on the left-hand side if you want to add more storage, and you do have the capability of running these guys in RAID 0. Swappable Wi-Fi 6E card, and of course you have a 83 watt-hour battery, which gave me about 4 to 5 hours of use before needing to charge. So here's the thing, this is a lot more affordable than the Spectre or other premium laptops on the market. It's kind of like a mid-range device, but because inflation and prices have gotten so high, it doesn't have the same attractiveness in terms of price point as it did on the previous HP Envy 15, but I still think it's a fair market value for a laptop with these specs. I do like the design, even though it's very simple, but I do think they could improve on some of the little things like having a less wobbly hinge, perhaps tightening up the keyboard, and of course, getting rid of this little line, which is already starting to go inside of the laptop. Now, do not buy the 4K version. I don't think it's worth it. Save yourself the money, get the 2K version instead, because you do get a higher refresh rate, and try to aim for the RTX 3060 because Intel's Arc GPUs are not as powerful, plus they're full of a lot of bugs right now that I don't think will get ironed out for a while. Let me know if you have any questions about this laptop in the comment section down below. There'll be a link in case you want to buy it in the description. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.